Alright, are we live? Let's look. Looks like it's thinking about being live. Yeah, we good. Alright, what's up everybody? Terminator Juice. Back with the Juice Opinions. It's been a minute, but just still dealing with some discomfort while sitting, so I try not to, it's hard to do these because it takes away from my time of gaming, because sitting here being uncomfortable then kind of takes away my desire to sit here and be uncomfortable while gaming. But there's enough stuff I wanted to talk about. Stream health is orange for some reason. Let's get some people up in here. I should have let people know on Twitter, which I can now. After, let's see. Bear with me for a second. What's up, people? Sorry, I'm just typing. I forgot to let people know I was doing this. Wish I had the link. Let's. For some reason, with the changes of YouTube, it's hard just to find a fucking link to my own damn video anymore. I don't know why it's got to be like this, but that's the way it is. So, again, sorry for a couple people that are watching right now. I'm just trying to get the word out. And because of the changes I keep making to live streaming, I have to. There we go. And because of the changes I keep... There we go. Put the link. Tweet. Alright. So, alright, let's get started. I'm going to start with a big blow to my 2019. Huge wrench in the wheel of my Game of the Year 2019 plans. And that is Doom Eternal. Gets delayed until March 20, 2020. Same day as Animal Crossing. So that's not going to affect me whatsoever. But Robert and I don't know who else, anybody that loves Animal Crossing and Doom, got a decision to make or got some money to spend. But anyway, so they set the release date like November 18th. Switch was day and date. And for those that don't know, they want to deliver a game that exceeds your greatest expectations across the board. I mean, the last game made such an impact. I definitely can see them having some trouble, trying to top that. But, they make sure they deliver the best experience. They put Doom Eternal gets delayed. Well, here's the part for Switch owners. For Nintendo Switch, will release after the other platforms. We'll announce the date in the future. So, and now Doom 64 is not even coming out on November 18th. Now it's a pre-order bonus, and it's releasing on March 20th, 2020. So that was a blow. Invasion mode, which will allow you to enter another player's game as a playable demon, will release as a free update shortly after launch. So it's not even going to release with the full game, which I don't, invasion mode don't matter to me. I'm going to be, I don't know now. The biggest thing about this is it throws another wrench in my plans for getting a PS4 Pro this year. The whole basis of it was to have a the best, not the best, but the best PlayStation option for playing the game because I bought a new 4K OLED TV in June, and it's like one of the best TVs for gaming. And I'm just kind of had this epiphany. I was going to buy a graphics card. That was been my plan all year, and I'm like, why would I play it down on my 24-inch monitor when I got a 65-inch OLED, like amazing HDR performance, and perfect for gaming with like the lowest industry leading lowest input lag or whatever. For TVs, it's like 13 milliseconds, and most TVs are 20 to 40. So I want to play Doom Eternal on this TV, and it was supposed to be this year. And then I was like, well, I'll just get the PlayStation 4 Pro because I'm planning on, like I said, I thought Spider Man was 20, but it's not anymore. It's up to 40. And what's up, Terrell? Um, so I was like, all right, I'll get the Pro. I'll get like Spider Man or something. Take advantage of the Pro until Doom comes out because I don't really have a November December game till other than Doom at the time. And then when Last of Us Part 2 comes out in February, I'll have the Pro, be able to play it at the higher resolution. And then if Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, Tsushima ever makes it out, if it's still a PS4 game, I'd have that. Final Fantasy 7, if that wins me over. I mean, so far it's looking pretty good to me. I don't care about, as long as it's a lengthy game, 40 plus hours, I have no problem picking it up. So there were some options as far as the Xbox One X. That would definitely be the best place to play Doom. It would be in the best place to buy Ukulele because it's native 4K for most of the game. But that's it. Like, I had no interest in any other Xbox games, and I knew Xbox had plans to release their next console, holiday 2020. Sony hadn't announced it. Well, now they come out. PlayStation 5 is coming out 2020. So now I'm just like, I'm really torn. I don't know what to do. Let me minimize this white screen. I just don't know what to do because if I buy a PS4 Pro next year, knowing that 9 months later the PS5's coming out fully backwards compatible, that just feels, even though it's only a difference of 4 months, it really feels like unless the price drop significantly, comes down to like below 300. I just can't see spending $400 on a console that's the new version's coming out next year, about 13 months from now. So now I'm like, so what do I do? I'm almost considering the Xbox One X again just because there's a Division 2 bundle for $400 right now. And I already bought Ukulele on PS4, but it's like, but that's only a couple games, and I don't really plan on. I guess you can play the next Halo on it, and with Game Pass free trial, you get a month free trial with you buy a system. I could beat Gears 5. I could play and beat that. So I'm just like, I'm really torn. And then the whole graphics card thing is like, all I mostly play is Rocket League, and my R9 390 plays Rocket League 1440p at 144 frames per second. Like, I don't really need it, and there's no other multiplats that I'm just like, I gotta play it on PC. Like, there's nothing. There's no new Tomb Raider. Like, I don't care about the Avengers game. The Ori and the Will of the Wisp is the only. I forgot about that one. That's a notch towards the Xbox One X. But again, it's hard to make that purchase for 3 games possibly, and then a year from now the next Xbox, who knows, that's fully backwards compatible, they said. So I don't know what to do. I'm Last of Us Part 2 I definitely want to get right away. Maybe I'll just have to play it on base PS4, but Doom comes out the next month. Do I get my graphics card? Do I get a enhanced console to play Doom right away, or do I just wait till November, get the PS5, and then play Doom, the same year it comes out, just months later? I just don't know. So I got a bit of a decision to make, and I really don't know at this point. I mean, Black Friday sales could really change, could help sell me on something, but Yeah, so that's for that. The other thing I want to talk about is something I said on. I get better like that or like this, because this way you can see the chat a little bit better. I'm gonna leave it like this. So I was talking about the Untitled Goose Game, and there, this is like the second area in the game, and I got to switch this over. And I don't have exact time because it just says played first 8 days ago. Played first 8 days ago. So I don't know the exact time, but I'm looking at my Revelations 2 5 hours or more, and I know I'm not even close with this game. Oops, software's already started. I feel like I got between 2.5 and 3 hours in this game, and we'll go to the. Here's the to-do list. First area, second area, third area, the last area, little bonus area. Here's the post-game content to-do list. This one's, I don't know what this one is. I haven't, before the church bell rings, I don't know that. But, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 left. And at the very most, I'm at 3 hours. And then I haven't figured this one out yet. So on the podcast, I did a public service announcement, basically PSA. Hey, if you're thinking about getting the Goose Game, but you don't have a lot of, let's say you're gonna get maybe one game to last you till Luigi's Mansion or something. I was just like, don't get the Goose Game because you're gonna get a couple hours out of it, and I don't feel like there's any replay value. Once you figure out what to do, then it's just a tedious chore to redo, like to roll this cabbage to this fucking blanket. That's just a tedious thing once you know what you have to do. Figuring it out is all the fun. I purchased it, so I can't tell the price. I'm pretty sure it's $19.99 in the U.S. for what I would say 3 to 4 hour game tops. This is from a single guy. I'm only playing it myself. I'm not like handing it to the rest of the family. If I had, like Clocked, he's got 3 daughters and a wife that play games, so they can each take turns. Getting a lot more value for his money in that situation. But for me, I'm just like, if you got a limited budget or a limited amount of time or amount of games you're gonna buy because there's a busy month in October, I just said, heads up. This game's super short. It's $20. I don't feel it's worth it. I paid $9 for it, but I used 6 of my eShop gold, coins or whatever, $6 worth. I would have liked to use that towards another game. Now that I've played this, but I will say the animation's really great. 60 frames per second. I like the art style. Controls are decent. They're not amazing, but they're good enough. They're simple to use, but there's a lot of cool stuff you can do, and it's it's entertaining. But to me, it feels like a $10 game. $10, and then if you get it on sale or if you have some points, you spend $5. That's what it feels like, and I know length isn't the only factor in whether a game's worth it or not. But to me, it's probably more important than it is for most people, because I don't buy a whole lot of games every year, and I want my purchase to have some kind of lasting value, whether it's replay value. Like Astro Chain, I got 25 hours. I still got a lot of the game I can go back through chapters to get, to actually, get a score in and stuff, and get a, do better overall in chapters I already played. So I probably end up with 50 plus hours, and to me, like, I have no issues. So it's just one of those things. If you, let's say you're gonna buy Luigi's Mansion and you have $20 for the rest of the year, you're gonna buy one other game, I would just say absolutely, this wouldn't be the one to get, just because it's so short. There's not much content. The post Credits content is very thin. Um, so that would be that's just my advice. Let me check the chat real quick. PS4 pre seems pointless with the PS5 coming. More fun. Oh yeah, and Goose Game is really just watch a Let's Player. You're gonna get you're probably gonna have just as much and like laughs and enjoyment out of it. Let's watch this clip. I don't remember why I saved this. Oh yeah, I was like, got it. It only caught the end of it. Shit. We were playing Mario Kart 8, and damn it, I didn't get the shine forever. Like everybody else had it, except me. I think, and maybe one other person. I get the shine, and I never lost it. I was like, yeah, 3 people didn't get it. But look at this. Look at this technique. Take the corner, then hide against the wall. Everybody flew by me. I did that 3 times. That was fun. But just looking at some screenshots here. Just something to have up on the screen. Little Resident Evil 2 Revelations 2. I was surprised at how good it looked. Actually, I hadn't played it in a while. Not the best. Like controls and stuff aren't the best, but a pretty good game. There's Marie. There's Ori. What's up, Lightning? Just looking through my screen caps on Switch. There's my girl Jenna. I like this little cinematic as a former motorcycle owner and rider. But yeah, just getting back to the PS4 real quick. The one thing I would say, I paid $220 for my Uncharted PS4 bundle 3 years ago. We're like 2 months shy of 3 years. I could trade it in for $175 without Uncharted and with a bad trigger button on my controller. I don't have Dragon Quest 11 yet. So $175, so $45 less than I paid. I keep the game and I trade it in. I doubt that's definitely not going to go up. That number's only going to go down. So if I did it now, it would basically be like I lost, I paid for Uncharted 4 and that was it. I got Uncharted 4 for $45. Didn't lose any money. That's how I look at it. And the longer I wait, the longer that's not going to be the situation. That's at GameStop right now. The PS4 Slim 1 TB is $175 store credit, which I would just use towards the PS4 Pro. But the problem is the PS4 Pro is still $399 3 years later, no game, and the only bundle with the game is the Death Stranding one, which I talked about on the podcast. Is an ugly ass PlayStation 4 Pro. It's got like gold-ish lettering, kind of like in this photo, the pants on that guy in the upper corner, kind of like that ugly color, like her earrings. But I normally don't trade games. I just haven't traded games in forever. The Spider-Man bundles discontinued. You pay over MSRP now. It's like you can get one for like $450. But yeah, so it's like if the Black Friday sales are good enough, I think I would if the PS4 Pro with the games like $350, I'd do it. Or if Xbox One X gets down to $350, I'd probably pick it up. Because I'm not buying the Xbox 2 or whatever day one. PS5, if there's games, I have no problem. I'm already accepted the fact that I'll probably get it day one. I've never bought a PlayStation day one, but if there's some good games, I like the backwards compatibility. I like the PS4 games are going to have like 0 loading time with this new hard drive and stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. All right, so another thing I want to talk about, and it's going to go into the main topic, is just kind of give you guys talk a little bit about how I view like playing games. Like Star Fox, I never owned it on the Super NES, but my buddy had it. His parents bought him just about every freaking game, and I had it at my house for at least 2 years, and I played it over and over and over. It was one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. It's hard to say, that because I didn't own the game. But you know, if somebody said, "Hey, I'll sell you the a Super Nintendo, a copy of the Nintendo version of Star Fox," I'll sell it to you. I'd be like, I don't need it. I have it right here on the Nintendo Switch Online. And there's people that are like, no offense, but there's people that are like, well, I only want to play. There's something about playing the game on the original hardware. Like that to me makes all the difference in the world. Playing it with a Pro controller or an Xbox controller or you know, PlayStation controller just doesn't feel right. And I'm just like, now that I have this, as long as I have Nintendo Switch Online, I would never play the Super NES version, like ever. Um, just because of the pain in the ass just to get it hooked up to my TV. This is already running on the Switch. I already hooked up with the HDMI. It's the same freaking game. I'm 100% happy. I already forgot what button was shoot. Damn it. So mind me, watch me suck here. So with that mindset, I don't really have a loyalty or any kind of nostalgia for the actual hardware. It's always been about the games for me, and so that's kind of. But I've always had a console preference. I've always preferred to buy games, multiplats on stuff on a certain platform. God damn it! What's the boost? There it is. I should have did a practice because this button layout is just. I could have changed it, but it takes me a second to get back into the swing of things. Because Nintendo definitely doesn't use the B button for their main actions anymore. But if let's say back in the day, the 16-bit era, they just made a different game for the Genesis, so it's a little harder. So I'd probably have to think like N64, GameCube, more GameCube than N64, because I had the Dreamcast, and I was playing that more than the N64 once the Dreamcast came out. But like on GameCube, like if Splinter Cell got ported to the GameCube and the PlayStation 2, and it was on Xbox, and I had an Xbox and a GameCube, I just got it on the GameCube. Like that's just the way it was back then. I got the NASCAR game because I was in NASCAR. We had that big wave of hype for NASCAR. I bought it on, damn it, GameCube instead of Xbox. Madden, bought it on GameCube instead of Xbox. With the when the Wii came out, that was my main console for. I got it in early 2007. That was my main console until about late 2008. I got an Xbox 360, and I started by just like borrowing games, and then picked up on eBay. I got Dead or Alive 4. I got Grid, Autosports. I started buying games for the system, and I kind of stopped. Only bought on Wii. I'd only buy like the major, like the exclusives. Wii was kind of different. Didn't get a lot of exact, multi-plats. I didn't get the exact same version and stuff, so it was a little bit different. But still, I was skipping like Dead Space and some of the bigger titles because wanted to play on the Wii. I wanted, I'm playing Mario Galaxies and Metroid Prime 3 and Wii Sports, and pick up Zack and Wiki and Okami and all that. And I just really wasn't doing much as far as Xbox. But then there was a transition. I want to say like 2010, where I bought Mario Galaxy 2, but I kind of did a switch, and I'm buying a lot of games on 360, and I'm buying the Call of Duties, and what else did I get? I picked up Dead Space 1 and 2. I picked up Gears 2 and 3, and started kind of switched over. That became my main platform. And if a Like I said, the Wii didn't really get the multi-plats the same, but if they did, I would buy the Xbox 360 version. And then with the Wii U, I always bought the Wii U. I fully supported the Wii U. Uh, if there was a multi-plat coming to Wii U, I would have bought it if I was interested in the game. I didn't buy it on 360 and PS3 at the time. I bought um, Assassin's Creed 4 on the Wii U, Black Ops 2 on the Wii U, and the Need for Speed Most Wanted. So I just made the switch. We use my preferred platform. It's my main platform. I'm gonna play everything on it, type of thing. Oh, I hate these. I hate these cockpit view ones because the inverted controls really mess with my head with this viewpoint. Probably shouldn't be playing and trying to make a conversation. So let's suspend. Create a suspend point. I play on PC, but I'm not a PC gamer. All right, let's try this. Let me just switch back to, and we'll go to this. Actually, let's go to this. Actually, I just had another thought. Now let's stick to this. Anyway, like I'm saying, the 360 became my main platform. I got the PS3 for the exclusives, but I bought all the games that were multiplats and stuff on the 360, and that's just the way it was. And then now with the Switch, this generation, well, the PS3, PS4, Xbox One, they're technically the same generation as Wii U, but for me, the transition was Switch, or PS4 and Switch around the same time, and then Xbox One a couple years later, and more than a couple. I just got it last year, so 5 years later, and now I'm in a situation where it's like, I don't know what, like when a game gets announced or a multiplat gets shown, I don't know what fucking platform I'm buying it on. Like, I really have to think about it. There's so many factors, and I hate going to Best Buy because it has my name and shit. But oops. So I'll just use this as an example. First, I'm going to say for the Switch right now, other than I got Starlink Digital, which I could have showed when I had it up, and then Celeste, and then just your Hollow Knights and your indie games. For big games, I got Doom is the one multiplat I got for the Switch. For the Xbox One, it's Trials Rising. I don't have any other. And Titanfall 2, but that was super cheap. I have them both digitally. And then for PlayStation 4, I have Resident Evil 7. I have Resident Evil 2. And now I have Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair. I didn't think twice about. It doesn't feel weird to me to go from Xbox, from PS4 to go from Switch. I have no loyalty or anything to the Switch at this point. It's just like, let's look at the factors. So we'll use Yooka-Laylee. They developed the game as the Switch as the main platform. And what's up, Donnie? 60 frames per second on Switch was their main goal, and then they would just go to the other platforms and just increase the resolution. For whatever reason, they didn't really go the extra mile there. Xbox One S, PS4, and PS4 Pro all run identically, 1080p. No other visual differences. Literally, I could have bought the Xbox One S version, and then the Xbox One X version has almost nearly native 4K, and so I was like, all right, it's close. Switch is like 760p or something, but still looks really good. Just a little bit blurrier. Let's actually bring it up, but really, really clean. God damn, I keep messing that up. Um, I keep closing the live window, which shows me how many live viewers there are and stuff. So I gotta bring it back up real quick. Um, but for all intents and purposes, I'm like, all right, the Switch, they're giving the Switch, the full support here. Like they did it right. They started with the Switch, 60 frames per second. Make sure, that's their goal. They hit it. It runs great. There's not a huge difference between PS4, Xbox, and oops, and Switch and all that. So they're very close. Trying to find fucking video. There we go. Just to have something to play, something playing. Of course, a Gears fucking trailer. So I'm thinking, see if there's they're all close. Like right here is a fucking perfect example. Oops, that was full screen. You know, other than some shadows being a little less, it's a little blurrier. There's not as the anti-aliasing and stuff, but it's a good port. It's really good. Yeah, I'm tired of Gears 5 trailers too. Really close, I would have had no issue buying the Switch version of this game, especially since like they didn't do anything extra for my PS4 doesn't even, the fan doesn't even kick on when I play this game. Like I think the base PS4 could have ran this at 1440, honestly. But that's beside the point. So everything looking good, yeah, I'm thinking Switch version. I got the portable play, try to take advantage of a few times. That'd be worth it. And then find out that the fucking game is $10 more on Switch. The physical version. I'm done buying digital for a while. I'm just sick of my games getting stuck on a platform. So Switch version's $40. The other versions are $30. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you did everything right. You did everything right except the price. So, it was just then, it was like, all right, Digital Foundry's video wasn't out, so I assumed the PS4 would have some kind of slight advantage, and if I got the Pro, I was hoping maybe it would be like a higher resolution. Turned out not to be the case at this point. But then you got Trine 4. Game I was quietly wasn't like super excited for. I don't even know where I saw it. I think it was the Switch Up review. Trine 4, good looking game. Came out the same day. I was probably not going to get it day one. And shout outs to Switch Up. They're a great channel. They got a lot of subs now. 52,000. Good work. Good reviews. So, Trine 4 comes out. It's a 2D co-op platformer with up to 3 players online. Nice visual style, a fantasy. I love Trine 2, and Trine 1 was actually really good too. And I didn't play Trine 3, but really good review. And $30, I believe it's 30 across the platform. Switch, PS4, Xbox One, all the same price for the physical version. But for whatever reason, the developer decided that the Switch version was going to run at 30 frames per second, which, I mean, isn't a deal breaker. If a game runs at 30, it runs at 30. But when you have the option for a 60 frame per second, and this is a platformer, and it's not it's more of a puzzle platform, but you definitely want the best, response and stuff. And just from Rocket League going from 60 to 30 on the Switch just makes such a huge difference. So I'm like, so I can get a 60 frames per second version on Xbox or PS4 for this exact same price. So I'm like, fuck, there again. If Ukulele was 30, I would have bought it on Switch. Trine 4, same price, But and this video isn't doing a really good job of making it look too good on Switch either. But um, let's drop it at 1080. Is that enough of a deal breaker? I'm like, well, but then you got to consider the online co-op on PS4. Or Xbox. I'm never gonna play online co-op because I'm not paying for the online. So then I'm almost gotta get the Switch version if I get it. But then that would only be applicable, whatever, applicable, if like Terrell and T and Robert and Clocked It and all those guys got it, and there was a chance I was ever gonna play the co-op with friends. So so now here's another game I want, but there's no clear cut this obvious choice for which platform to get it on. And I've never experienced this to this degree where I've had, and I could get on PC. Really, I probably that's another that's this type of game. And if like Terrell or T or something got it on PC, then we could play the co-op, and I wouldn't have to pay online fees. So that's another option. But I'm like, with the Wii U, this has been a Wii U purchase. There wouldn't have been a second thought. It's like, it's just crazy how, because the PS4, Xbox One are so similar. It's just a question of, at this point, my PS4 library is that I have 11 physical games, and I got Ratchet and Clank digital. I think that's the only digital. But I have a decent library, and I'm looking to buy Last of Us and possibly probably Spider-Man and maybe Final Fantasy 7. Doubtful, it's not likely, but possibly. And who knows? Maybe Death Stranding turn out to be an amazing game, and I'll pick it up someday. Like with Xbox, it's like there's nothing left. For me, there's no selling point to buy the actual box other than to play a few multiplats at like 4K on my OLED. That's basically it. And then you got like Doom Eternal. If a game is day and date, here I forgot to list all the things. Here's the factors: day and date, parity with content, and like if the Switch version, like a Starlink, if there's a Switch version with some specific content, that could be a selling point for the Switch version. But it has to be day and date, and then it has to have the same content, and it has to be a good port. Performance has to be good. Um, not It's not always going to be, uh, you know, where one's 3160, like Starlink's 30 on both PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. So that wasn't a factor. Then you got price. Then you got, is all the game going to be on the fucking cartridge or not? Because it's going to all fit on the disc. Yeah, you have to install it, but at least years later, I'll be able to install it off a disc without having to download the rest of the game. So there's just so many factors. I don't know if there's any PS4 Pro footage. There's so many freaking factors now that it's just like every game I got to go through a checklist. I got to see, where did the publisher and developer fall short? Is everything equal? You had a similar issue with Batman Arkham Origins on Wii U. I ended up getting the PS3. See, I would have got Batman Arkham Origins on Wii U. Wouldn't even thought twice about it. Like, there was no what was the reason to get the PS3 version? I think the Wii U version ran really well, if I remember correctly. I mean, this looks quite a bit cleaner here, but I've never had so many variables just to buy a fucking game on which platform. Like, it's just, oh, we lost multiplayer. Yeah, but no one the multiplayer was dead before it even began. But yeah, on principle alone, I could see that. Um, but it's just like, there's so many options, and now you got PS5 and the next Xbox are gonna be almost identical fucking art. Like, they're both gonna have the second or third, whatever, it's Ryzen, the 3200 series or the 3000 series Ryzen. It's considered second gen. They're both going to have Navi based GPUs, which is the new 5700 and 5700 XT AMD. What's up, Laker Link? Um, Cards. So they're both going to have the same cards. Almost guarantee they'll both have the same amount of memory. Probably be DDR6. Um, they're just going to be so similar that we're going to have the same. I think it's going to be less because I think they're going to be so similar. We're not even going to have the, well, this one runs at 1080, this one runs at 900, or like Soul Calibur 6. Xbox One version runs at 720p. PS4 version runs at 900p. PS4 Pro runs at 1080p. Like, I don't think we're going to have that with this next generation. It's going to be all about the exclusives and all about the value of the services with Microsoft. Is Game Pass going to make the, is it that going to be the reason you get the Xbox over the fucking PS5 because of Game Pass? You know, that's going to be the deciding factor. I don't think we're going to have these. Digital Foundry's probably going to, they're going to take a hit to their to what they do, because I think the consoles are going to be so close that, you know, it's basically going to be where are your friends, who's online do you want to play for, and who has the better service. Like, is Game Pass enough for you to switch from PlayStation to Xbox to, you know, play their exclusives, if they better have some good exclusives, because for multiplats don't come day one. So I don't think that's a selling point to the general gamer. So will I have a preferred platform? I mean, Nintendo's gonna have to think about having another system out in a sequel to the Switch in 2021, I'd say, which would be 4 years, because with I think it's the memory, the solid state drives that they're talking about putting in these new systems, and how it could affect games loading, you know, maybe not instantly, but a significant improvement in the loading speeds, and especially with the bump in visuals. If you're getting, they're even talking about being able to reduce file sizes, because you don't have to have a whole bunch of redundant files on the old hard drives. They said you had to put like an object on the hard drive 400 times, because if you just put it in one spot, the loading times would be ridiculous. So they had to put it in 100, 400, whatever they said, places, so that they could, you know, access it the quickest. Well, they're not going to have to do that with new solid state technology, and they're both doing, you know, their own proprietary thing. And they also, like they said, like, the file sizes will be able to shrink because of that. You'll be able to choose, hey, I don't want the multiplayer for this game. I don't want the single player for this game on the hard drive anymore. I beat the single player. Delete that and leave the multiplayer. You'll have those options, and it's gonna suck because games are gonna get bigger, and these hard drives are probably gonna start out at a terabyte. But it sounds like some pretty encouraging stuff, and they said it's gonna be almost like cartridges again. So, I mean, that's exciting stuff. And you got that, and then if you got the Switch still with its 32 gigs, with still long loading times, and you're not going to get the multiplats, because they're just to port, you know, PS5 and Xbox, I'll just say 2 from, you know, just to make it easy, Xbox 2 games, you know, like, yeah, the discs are going to be 100 gigabytes, doesn't mean they're going to use all of it. I mean, Ukulele says right here, 3.5 gigs is all you need available. This is a 50 gig Blu-ray disc. But, you know, Nintendo, I feel, is going to have to do something. I just don't see how you can just have the Switch in its current form. I know you're going to have Breath of the Wild 2 and Bayonetta 3 and stuff, but Nintendo's are, you know, they've been through a lot of their big hitters already. They got to do something. I mean, not to sound like a rezo ho, but when I look at how much I spent on my 4K TV, I got the OLED, the C9 from LG, and it has, you know, won a lot of blind TV shootouts, you know, best picture, you know, other than in I think one other TV got just a little bit more votes. And to think this again, this sound like Rezo and kind of sounds snobby, but to play a 720p game or below, like 540p for those adaptive resolution games like Hellblade and stuff, to have this TV and to think about 720p was pretty much the standard on the PS3. Like almost every game, people were complaining because games were at 720, not 1080. They ran at 720, and the PS4 displayed them at 1080. It didn't upscale. It displayed at 720, didn't upscale it. So to think in 2006, a system is doing 720p, and in 2020 we're gonna have the Switch is, it's not consistently doing much above 720 except for some Nintendo exclusives and stuff. I just think that the sales right now are doing as well as they are because we got this, they got this killer lineup. A lot of big heavy hitters this year with Pokemon, with Fire Emblem, with Link's Awakening. You got Luigi's Mansion will do all right, but then you got Animal Crossing, and the Switch Lite. It's peaked. I think it will have the best sales in a fiscal year. This current fiscal year will be the biggest for the Switch in its life. I think it's going to be well over 20 when it's all said and done. But what happens in late 2020, Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. Mario Kart 8 is already going to be at 20 million. I doubt they're going to put out another one. Maybe another 3D Mario. You got Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3. Yeah, those are big hitters, but I think by 2021, which will only be 4 years later, if you don't have something, some kind of new hardware, new revision, I mean, I just think I think that would be a mistake. And I know this PS3 games didn't run native at 7. I mean, the exclusives did. The multiplats obviously didn't, but most of the exclusives did. But this kind of turned into a talk about next gen and stuff. But yeah, just it's crazy to me not to have a preferred platform where it's just an easy choice. Where it's like, oh yeah, I'm buying that on the Switch. Oh, I'm buying that on the PS4. Or I'm buying that on PC. It's just like, for me, it's just a flowing, moving target. It's always going to be something different depending on the game. What's the next? Like I said, Trine 4. I'd probably pick up the PS4 version, or PC, maybe PC on that one. But yeah, I mean, could Nintendo? I don't know that Nintendo's at this point. I don't know that they're gonna do a enhanced version of the Switch. It's just to really like in Shadow Fox. I don't know if he's gonna watch this. I'd actually like to have a discussion with him. I was like not really debating. We had a little back and forth because he's talking about somebody said the Wii U was out of date the day it released, and he's like, oh, it's not out of date. It's newer tech than PS4, Xbox One, and I was like, well, the HDMI standard's not up to date. It's 1.4 instead of 2.0. We're about to hit 2.1 version HDMI, which allows up to 4K, 120 frames per second, 8K, 60, type, which the Wii or the Switch will never do. But it's just like it's not up to date in that regard. Doesn't have an Ethernet port. Doesn't have a lot of things that I consider, being what a current modern console, even though the technology is old, I think it should have. But then you look at what they did with this new chipset. They shrunk the die down, which doubled the battery life basically. But what happens when you shrink the die, and I know Nvidia especially is having issues going to the smaller, 7 nanometer, what I think theirs is technically, they call it 10 nanometer. They can get way more efficiency, but they can't get the clock speeds up. So basically, you're doing the same amount of work, way more efficient, but you can't really, it's not like you can crank the thing up and turbocharge it because you were going for efficiency. So it's like, what could they do to really make a Switch Pro or something? So I don't know. But if I was Nintendo in 2020, no matter what it took, I would have the new Nintendo Switch that works with, obviously it's a Switch. It's not gonna have an exclusive game. It's not gonna be like the new Nintendo 3DS where it has Xenoblade Chronicles exclusive, but it's gonna have 8 gigs of RAM or whatever. It's gonna have the clock speeds ramped up and do what Microsoft did with the Xbox One X. They streamlined the way that the CPU and GPU and the RAM all talk to each other and really made it super efficient in that regard. And you get it. So Breath of the Wild 2 is not 720p or 900p with adaptive resolution, and you're looking at a 720p most of the time, or it has, drops below 30 again. I think they gotta iron it out, and it would be, at that point you would hope the Switch might be $200, but you put 350 for a Switch Pro, to answer your question, Terrell, to play, let's say, Breath of the Wild 2 at 1080p locked 30, or 900p locked 30. I would trade mine in. If the base model, if maybe that's not enough of a jump. Maybe I don't think it's going to be 4K though. I don't think the next Switch is going to be 4K. But it's got to be, you got to do something just to kind of counteract, keep the mind share, give the tech guys, cuz the 4K TVs are just, they're being what's the word, in the market there. The saturation rate is way higher now. That's all you really see. You go to Best Buy, it's hard to find a TV that's not 4K. Upscaling anything below, we'll say 900p to 4K, the results may vary, but 1080p games look really good. Smash looks amazing on my 4K screen, but like the lower, like Doom and the games that run lower, they don't look amazing. Astro Chain looks pretty good. I think that's like 900, but I really think Nintendo's got to. I think they got to do something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they could do and keep the same architecture, and would the battery life be so short that no one would buy it, because they just jumped the battery life up to 5-6 hours, and now we're dropping it back down to 3. I don't know that they'd want to do that, but I think they should do something. But at the very like, for me, if I was in charge, I'd say 2021. You should maybe 4.5 years do what they did with the Wii U. Have the Switch 2 fully backwards compatible, but has exclusive games, type of thing. And it might sound crazy. You might be like face palming to have a sequel to the Switch after 4 years, because Nintendo's what is their handheld life cycle? Let's look at Game Boy Advance. I think that was 2000. Game Boy Advance was Japan, North America, June 11th, 2001. So the Nintendo DS came out in 2004. So that was 3.5 years. 3DS was what, 2011? Hold on. 2000. So maybe that one was long. So the DS was 2004, and that was a huge success. Yeah, so that went 7 years. Shit. And then the Switch came out 6 years later. So yeah, it would be, but the revisions have always come out. So I think most likely a Switch revision. I know this topic got way off the main path, but yeah, that's crazy. From the Game Boy Advance to the DS was 3.5, and then they went 7 from DS to 3DS. But I guess as a gamer, just to get back to Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, if it's 720p or whatever, I'm still gonna buy it day one and play it 200 hours, I'm sure. There's no question. Um, there's no fucking question about it. Yeah, the new 3DS, I forgot, came out in between. So 6 years. I don't know that it would damage Nintendo because the Switch didn't damage coming out 4.5 years. But the problem is the Nintendo's facing is that the handheld gamers have really adopted the Switch. The people that normally just buy the handhelds, the they're not casuals, but they don't they're not used to gaming on TV. A lot of those 3DS DS players bought the Switch. In my opinion, I have no facts, but to me it feels like I've seen too many comments from people talking about whether it was on IGN or in an article or on a podcast. I only play my Switch in portable. Clock that knows a guy, he's never docked his Switch. So you got this mindset people have that it's becoming more portable. Now you got the Switch Lite out. It's more and more a portable system than it is a home console. And I think that's only going to get, the ratio is only going to get worse with Pokemon, with Animal Crossing. I think it's going to be, by the time Animal Crossing's been out and Switch Lites have been out, I think the Switch Lites, all said and done, will equal the regular Switch when it's all said and done. Like 2 more years from now or whatever. I think the Switch Lite will catch up and possibly pass the basic Switch, the one you dock. So on one hand, they got this hybrid. You don't want to have a new system out in 4 years, but they could keep the Switch going as the handheld portion, make the games fully backwards compatible, and here if you're gonna stay with the standard Switch, that's your handheld, that's your hybrid, and then have this new Switch, and maybe it still has to be a handheld. That's the tricky part. If you just keep it a Switch and not make it the Switch 2, but make it a more powerful Switch and have it a dock only, someone like me is going to be interested in that. And then for the people that prefer the handheld, you're still getting a great handheld experience. If you see Ukulele running on a Switch Lite on that smaller screen, it looks phenomenal. You don't need the handheld side to be any more powerful to look any better. So it's just kind of it's a good thing that they're having the success and that it's a hybrid, but it's also a bad thing because how do you move forward? Do you just wait and make a Switch 2 that's the exact same thing? It's a hybrid but way more powerful once the technology gets there, or do you branch off and keep the Switch a handheld line and then make a specific home console line? There's just so many fucking options for Nintendo to take this now. But then you also still have the issue with the cartridges. That's probably why Ukulele is $10 more. The PS4 box is 3.5 gigs minimum is what you need. I can't imagine the Switch version is bigger, but it said 4 something. So you got the problem with cartridge space. So now you're getting into a whole nother generation. Games are getting bigger, and you still got these cartridges that it's not economical you can't make money on your game with a 32 gig cart, and 32 gigs isn't even going to be enough. So it's like they kind of the Switch was kind of a short-term thought, short-term success. They really didn't. Maybe they have a plan, but in my mind, what do you do from here? They were talking about making the Switch last longer than normal. You can't have the base model Switch, the docked Switch the way it is 3 years from now, paired up. I mean, it already looks. I mean, it holds its own in art style, with the right art style and stuff. It holds its own with the PS4, Xbox One, games like Ukulele and stuff. But when you look at Doom, or when you look at like God of War, Spider-Man, versus Ultimate Alliance 3, Spider-Man PS4 versus Ultimate Alliance 3. There's big gaps there, and it's only going to get way bigger. Um, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just kind of rambling. I'm just kind of brainstorming, thinking out loud. If I was, in a brainstorming session with Nintendo, like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, what do we do now? Do we just keep going? Do we do the slightly more powerful version to fill a couple years until we have a sequel? Do you make the Switch just a handheld only, and then have a console version that the two systems work in tandem? But then you get in the cartridge situation. If you have a Switch or a sequel, not a sequel, but you have another generation and it's more of a home console, then do you stick with cartridges? Do you go to discs? What do you do? So I don't know. I don't know the answers. I'm just throwing out a lot of questions. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I do want to, like I said, I mentioned Shadow Fox, and I were having a little discussion about if the Switch is out of date and stuff, and we got in a side discussion about Nintendo. It's not the hardware that's really the problem. It's Nintendo's choices of leaving things out, and not like Wii U. One of the talking points initially was, hey, why are you sticking with USB 2.0? USB 3 is the new standard. You get so much more transfer speed, and especially if you're hooking up an external hard drive, and they're like, well, read write speeds for USB 2.0 is perfectly fine for gaming, and then they don't put an Ethernet port, and they put 32 gigs in it. Yeah, you can hook up an external, but my PlayStation 3 has 80 gigs in it. I think that was the 2007 PlayStation 3, around Metal Gear Solid 4. It's like, you're still, even though it's fast internal memory, it's way faster than the 80 gig hard drive in a PS3 or a PS4. It's faster than a terabyte, but it's still, those PS4 games still hold their own loading times versus Switch games. And so you're like, all right, well, it's only 32 gigs. Like, yeah, it's current, up to date flash memory, but the quantity is barely above the original Xbox at 10 gigs back in 2001. The lack of an Ethernet port. Yeah, Ethernet port's an old technology, but why is it missing from your 3 consoles in a row? Why, we had the Wi-Fi, and that was nice at the time, until people realized Wi-Fi isn't good for online competitive gaming. You got wired is the way to go. So they don't have wired. I made this point in 2000. The PlayStation 2 comes out. I was all in with home theater stuff. So the big thing with DVD was better picture quality. You didn't have to rewind discs, and it had digital audio. You had Dolby Digital. You had DTS, digital surround technology. The DVD players had an optical out. You bought a receiver. It had optical ins. So you'd get your DVD player. You'd run an optical cord from the DVD player to your receiver with this little red light. And you got digital audio. The jump from analog VHS audio to digital DVD audio was bigger than the picture quality. It was bigger than the jump from 480 to 1080p on Blu-ray, the fucking audio. So you had the PlayStation 2 has an optical out. The Xbox One comes out the Xbox comes out in 2001. Optical audio, component cables, which you could get for GameCube. So you got digital audio, true 5.1 surround, and the GameCube comes out with fucking analog audio. Dolby had to create ProLogic 2 to try to simulate 5.1 surround using analog audio. So you'd think 2006 comes around, all right, we got the Wii. Nintendo's got, they didn't get caught off guard. Let's get some digital audio. Nintendo games have some of the best soundtracks on any games other than, some of the JRPGs and stuff from years past. Wii comes out, analog audio, analog component video. And you're like, what the fuck? It's 2006. DVD's been out for 10 plus years. Digital audio is standard. Your TV's got optical audio. Receivers all had that. And Nintendo chose not to go that route again with the Wii. Well, how much storage was in the Wii? What, 256 megabytes? Something like that? You couldn't even put a fucking gigabyte or something. So they always have this mentality. It's not just for visuals and being efficient. They always cut out these standardized features or options in your system. And in 2012, we finally got HDMI with HD visuals and actual digital audio on a Nintendo system 12 years after PlayStation did it, 11 years after Xbox. And that's the kind of stuff that it's not a deal breaker. I always buy the system. I buy a ton of games for the Nintendo system. It's not a deal breaker in any stretch of the imagination. But it's just consistently they make these choices to go, whether it's the USB 2.0 in the Switch, in the Wii U, now the Switch. They still haven't activated the 3.0. The Wii U couldn't power an external hard drive and do the data transfer. You had to buy a hard drive with its own power supply. I don't know if the base Xbox, but the Xbox 360, PS3 came out in Xbox was in 2005 and PS3 was 2006. You hook an external hard drive, it had the USB standard to power a hard drive and read and write to it. In 2012, the Wii U couldn't do that. So then you have to go buy a more expensive hard drive with an AC adapter. Still no Ethernet port. So now you got Ethernet adapter. They didn't even sell one for the Wii U. Just, use the one for the Wii. You can use that same one. It's like, so I'm taking up a USB port. Why put the USB port when the main thing you're going to have me use it for is an Ethernet adapter? Just put the fucking Ethernet port. The Wii U, the white version had 10 gigabytes and the main one had 32. Wasn't as big of a deal because the games on the discs, there's not much to install. A few patches here and there, some DLC. The Wii U 32 gigs was pretty, I'd say it's acceptable, just because you didn't use up that. I bought a bunch of digital games and then I finally used it up. Smash was like 13 gigs, but still 32 gigs was kind of low, but it worked for the Wii U. So the Switch comes out, you're thinking we're gonna have 128 gigs for sure. Nope, 32 fucking gigs, and now the games are bigger. Now the third party games are way bigger. Breath of the Wild's like 14 gigs, and couple other games, and your internal memory's gone. Yeah, they do focus on gimmicks and stuff, but why not just you add the USB port in the back of the dock? The main thing people are going to use that for on the back is the Ethernet adapter. Just put the fucking Ethernet port. It makes no sense. Another thing the Wii U and Switch don't do is USB audio. Like, if you're not going to have an optical out, which optical out's it's getting to the point where not many things use it anymore. But headsets, in 2013, the majority, if not all the headsets, other than the few that use the analog audio still, the red and white cord, worked off USB or the optical out of your system. And so when PS3 or PS4 and Xbox One came out, the USB worked. There was an issue with some of the headsets not working, but that was the standard. 4 years later, the Switch comes out. There's no audio through USB, and I mean optical at that point I think it's mostly obsolete at that point. So there's no reason for that. But it's just these little things. Their Wi-Fi signal antennas, like, for whatever reason, if it's the actual antenna, if it's some firmware they could fix, if they're purposely limiting, if it's even wired, the speed test is not even close to my max 120 download and 12 upload. It's not even close to that. It's like 30 and 6 or something. They just choose to not fully utilize the technologies, even if they have the USB port. They don't do the 3.0. They don't have it so it powers an external hard drive. They have the Wi-Fi, but it's a way worse Wi-Fi than PS4, my TV, or even my fucking receiver. My Onkyo receiver gets better Wi-Fi signal in the same spot. They just do these things. I don't know if it's just a cost-cutting thing, if it's Nintendo's just got to make money on the console, then there's no way they're gonna lose $1 per system to have an Ethernet port or have a Dolby Digital license. They got the HDMI port. It's just basically uncompressed PCM audio, which works. You got an HDMI receiver, you're gonna get it no problem. But then you got Xbox One switching to Dolby Atmos with a firmware update. They upgraded the HDMI to 2.0. You get Dolby Atmos support, which if you don't, it might sound silly to somebody that plays their games like through their TV speakers and stuff. But the difference between standard Dolby Digital and the new Dolby Atmos, like super high bit rate, hearing fucking the Xbox games like that, I'm like, holy shit! Like, I'd love to hear Super Mario Odyssey, like this amazing soundtrack at the highest quality, possible. Like, I would love that. Yeah, I'm probably in the minority there. Most people probably don't have theirs hooked up to a 5.1. They probably have a sound bar going where you're not going to know the difference between Dolby Digital, Dolby Atmos, or even fucking stereo sound through a sound bar. But to somebody that's used to hearing great sound, Nintendo's always missed the mark. They have the best soundtracks in games, and they have the lowest quality setup for audio. The Wii U was the only one, their only system that truly had pretty much equivalent audio with any other system on the market. And they had the discs so they had games they didn't have to compress. One of the biggest problems with Doom on the Switch is getting the game on the cartridge. Is they compress the game so much that the sound, like if you crank it up, you can just hear it's missing data. It skips when you do glory kills. It cuts out. It's just, if you have a low bit rate and you have all this musical audio data and the bit rate's low, you don't get a great sound. I don't know a good analogy or a way to like paint the picture better. It'd be like, I guess it would be like if you had 100 people in a choir or in an orchestra, or what, not an orchestra, but you could say instruments in an orchestra. You have 100 people, all right? But that takes up a big space, big hall. Now you take out 50 of those people and you put them in a smaller area, that the music's not going to have the same impact as an orchestra. You're going to be missing all the little subtle notes, all the differences, all the harmonizing with the different instruments. You're going to be missing that. You're not going to get the big sound because you're in a small room compared to this big open room type of thing. So they just, for whatever reason, they just always choose to skimp out on that kind of stuff. Yeah, their games are great. They make the best games. Gameplay, everything's amazing art style. I love it. But they always find a way to skimp out on something. And for the Switch, I would say the internal memory was the biggest. The Ethernet port was right there, and then not letting the audio transfer through the USB for work with like every headset on the market. They just always make these weird choices, and I'd like to see them do what they do, make a unique console, make something with a cool gimmick, but also have everything else in place. It's just like the games. If they had 100% third-party support, let's say they had the full support that the PS4 gets, plus all their exclusives, and you could take them on the go without compromises, without major compromises like having to pay extra, having to download most of the game because they only put it on a 6 gig card or whatever, 4 gig card, and not having to make sacrifices in the audio quality or the visuals. I mean, we've said this since I don't know when. It's been a long time. Nintendo would just dominate if they had all that. So Who knows? But anyway, it's been. Let's read this comment real quick. I think part of the reason is trying to keep the price down. Nintendo's never tried a premium system. That's true. I mean, Super Nintendo was 200. The N64 was it 200 or 250? Let's look. GameCube was $199.99 at launch. I mean, this is 2001. $200 in 2001 is probably like three something now. But Nintendo 64. I think it was 200. Might have been 250 though. No, $200. Wii was 250. Wii was the first time they went above 200. Wii U 350. Most of that was the gamepad. And then Switch 300. So looking back now, we talked about how'd they fit so much tech in the Switch and sell it for 300. I'm starting to look at how cheap this dock is, how it fucking rubs my screen. See if I can get it on camera. Oops, I need to show this so you can see. Oops. There you go. See that rub? It's on this side. Oh, actually, it's worse on this side. See that? That's the screen protector, but the screen underneath looked the same before I put the protector on. So you got this cheap ass plastic dock, rubs on the screen. You got Joy-Cons drifting. You got the kickstand. My kickstand's loose again. It fucking falls open. I bent it again a little bit. Let's see if I can get it to. Yeah, I kind of refixed it. It wants to fall. But it'll get to a point. It's getting close where I'll just go like that and the kickstand will fall open. I go to put it in the system and the kickstand's fucking open from. So then the Joy-Cons, when they're clicked in, there's quite a bit of play. Joy-Con drift. You got the system's cracking from heat. And it's just like, yeah, I see how they got it down to 300 because they used some cheap ass components. So would it have sold for 350? Probably not as nearly as well. But if it was a premium product and had, like, people couldn't say, oh, it's only got 32 gigs. Oh, it doesn't have an Ethernet port. If it had, let's say, 250 gigs and an Ethernet port and it was 350, I don't know. There's no way to prove, there's no way to test it or anything. But anyway, well, I've been rambling on for quite some time. Didn't realize this much time passed. Holy shit. But I had a lot to say. That's what happens when I wait 3 weeks to a month. My back's starting to bother me too, so I gotta get out of here. But thanks you guys for tuning in. And if you just got here, I've seen a few new people. A few more people just started watching. When you're doing some chores tomorrow or something, just put the replay on in the background. Just listen while you're doing something. Appreciate it. I know, hour and 15 minutes, it's hard to just sit down and listen to. I would, like I said, just put it on, do some stuff. Maybe if you got some homework or, play the goose game where you don't have to, I guess you gotta think a little bit, but just put this on. I'd appreciate it. Obviously, I'm telling this at the end, so if someone just started watching, the replay, they're not gonna hear this. But yeah, I notice my Juice Opinions views have gone way down, and I don't know if that's because I just haven't been doing them so consistent, or what I'm saying is not. All last year I was kind of harping on the lack of games, and it was a bad year. Really down year. Maybe people got sick of me saying that. I haven't said it once this year. You haven't heard me complain. Most of the games coming out aren't for me, but there's still just so many of them. There's I can't complain. So, but yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being participants in the live chat, and we'll see you next time.